the Sisala East constituency, the Honorable Amidu Isaha Kuchinia. He's also Deputy Minister for Sanitation and Water Resources. Honorable, good morning.
Good morning.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well. It's been a while.
Yes, it has. Were you lost in your constituency?
Not exactly. I've been around.
Okay, well, it's good that we have you in the studio this morning.
Thank you.
And also in the studio is Bernard Mona. Bernard Mona is a member of the PNC. He also likes to be referred to as a farmer as well, but he's also aspiring flag bearer for the PNC. Honorable Bernard Mona, good morning.
I'm not honorable. I'm Bernard Mona, but thank you.
Honorable because you're an honorable man.
Well,
that is why I use the title honorable for you.
I cannot grudge you for what you want to say. But did he say he has been around?
Yes, he says he's been around.
The man just returned from Umrah. How could he be around?
Oh, come on.
He has not been around. He has not been around. He went to perform a religious duty. And he came very fine. You can see he's looking Saudi.
But he's around.
But he's not around.
Now he's around.
No,
so
he has returned.
Since he returned, he's been around.
No, he has returned. I've been looking for him only to realize that he was there doing religious things. So I pray that he will come reformed. And so better. That's what
whatever that means, I don't even
suggesting.
This man, you don't know him.
Whatever that means, I don't even know.
His action on this show this morning will determine whether he has reformed, he has changed.
Yeah, I don't know what you are talking about. Anyway, the Honorable Al-Hassan Suhini is also here in the studio. He's Member of Parliament for Tamale North constituency. Honorable Suhini, good morning.
Good morning, Lando.
Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you doing?
I'm terrific. Alhamdulillah.
Excited about what happened yesterday?
Yes. Very, very excited. Except that I didn't wake up with very pleasant news. I went to bed very excited, but I didn't wake up with very pleasant news. I lost a very good friend of mine in the wee hours of this morning. And I'm still shaken by it. I'm not even too sure if it is appropriate to put the news out yet, because he's somebody that is also quite known by a number of people, especially those who have followed Tamale and Northern Region politics for some time now. Yeah.
Well, condolences.
But indeed, it was a great night yesterday. It was a beautiful night. It was a beautiful night.
But the man is dead. He's our common friend.
Well.
And he did well for his party and for our nation.
Mona, you know, sometimes...
and in the Islamic tradition, and once he's a Muslim, in the next week, but this time it's everywhere. I mean, he's such a popular person.
But let's continue, maybe before we end the show.
Yeah, he's just a popular person.
But we'll just say condolences to his family. That's what I'll say. And
sometimes
I believe at the appropriate
some
time,
people receive the news in appropriate ways before it is just
put all over there. So I understand that perfectly, Honorable Suhini, and I think we should respect that one. But let's get into the issues. I was asking you how excited you were, and you talked about how happy you are about the official unveiling of Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as running mate. I mean, she wants corrupt NPP appointees. She wants that corrupt NPP appointees will not be spared. She says that she's not going to come and tell the people of Ghana that she's a driver's mate, unlike some other people have been saying. Obviously, that was a swipe at the Vice President, Alhaji Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And a whole lot of other things, were said. Honorable Suhini, what was the highlight for you? And even prior to this, there were those who were saying, well, the running mate has already been announced. We know who she is. Or was it necessary to do an official unveiling when everybody already knew who the running mates for John Dramani Mahama was?
Well, so you have put it right. Let me say good morning to Bernard and good morning to Honorable Chinia and to our very cherished listeners, especially the very good people of the Tamale North constituency. It was important that even though the announcement of who the running mate of the NDC was made, that we did an official unveiling, like you have said, an official unveiling.
Yeah.
The announcement, put beyond any doubt who was going to partner President Mahama to the Flagstaff House, inshallah, in January 2025. But there was a need for her to be outdoored and for a platform for her to be created, for her to also spell out her intentions, her views, her visions, and her, desire to work with President Mahama to rescue this nation. And that was to provide a basis for people to assess her and determine if she is, one, ready for the campaign, and two, also ready to partner President Mahama to serve this country, and also perhaps to bring back dignity to the office of Vice President. I mean, you listened to the General Secretary yesterday, and he could not have put it any better than the way he did. The fact that the Vice President's office has become a laughingstock. It has lost its, glory, its dignity. I mean, the reverence that the Vice President's office used to have has all been unfortunately stripped of it by our brother.
How so?
Our senior brother. I mean, it's clear. Former President, Vice President Akka was Vice President. A man of integrity. You can disagree with him the way you want, but he was a man who was principled. And when he thought that the president he was driver mate to, assuming we want to use that phrase, was going the wrong way, he disagreed with him and resigned. And joined, in fact, he didn't resign, but he stayed in government and resisted him. And in the end, even became a running mate to an opposition party to his own president. That is a person who has principles and scruples and stand by it. Then you had President Mills, who became vice president to His Excellency Jerry Rawlings. We all know the intellectualism that he brought to bear, and no wonder we are told that it was under his tenure as vice president that this arrangement of the vice president chairing the economic management team started. That's the respect, that's the caliber. Then you had President John Mahama. In fact, before President John Mahama was Aliu Mahama. At least if for nothing at all, remember how he used to preach and campaign against indiscipline. He also brought a certain level of dignity to Muslims all over this country. I mean, he left you in no doubt about his faith as vice president. He carried himself very well for 8 years without any scandal associated with his office. And then came His Excellency John Mahama. Distinguished himself. No wonder when, unfortunately, President Mills passed on, there was no question in the mind of majority of Ghanaians as to who should take over. No question. Within the NDC, it was a walkover because nobody contested him. It was like that. I mean, he had distinguished himself and placed the pedestal of that office where it should belong. And so when he was presented by the NDC as the obvious choice to succeed President Mills, the people of Ghana voted overwhelmingly for him. Today, what we have is a jocular, unfortunately.
You're saying Dr. Bawumia has not distinguished himself?
What we have is...
I mean, he has names like the digital man because of the digitalization he's doing among other things.
With
so there are
all
things
due
he's
respect,
for, isn't it?
With all due respect, when you look at our vice president, our senior brother today, and you call him a comedian, you can have evidence to back it.
How? Where's the evidence?
Oh, I mean, just take some of his speeches and put it together, and you are going to get a comedian who will make people laugh. I mean, that's just one of many. If you just call him a comedian, you will back it with his own actions. If you call him a man who lacks principles, who doesn't have principle, you will get his own actions to support it. He will tell you that when the fundamentals are weak, the exchange rate will expose you. And faced with the same situation, he's flip-flopping. No principles. He tells you he's against e-levy. But he doesn't have that courage and that leadership to influence a decision in his government.
Well, but recently he has mentioned what he would do
I'm making the point.
If he becomes president.
I am making the point
about the e-levy.
And that's again, it's about insincerity. He told us, backed by assurances from the president, Nana Akufo-Addo, in 2015, 2016, that he was going to be the economic messiah of this country. He did. When they inherited the surplus that the NDC left and were looking good in 2017, 2018, every time the finance minister came to present the budget, he was with him to claim the credit. The president himself in his SONA address said he was the economic whiskit, sharing the economic management team and posting those inherited but annexed glories between 2017 2018. 2019 2020, when the yogurt hit the fan and everything went haywire, because he doesn't have principles, because he's insincere, because he's self-serving, he abandoned the finance minister first. And so the finance minister now had to do the budget presentation alone without his support to nod along.
And in all of this, you believe that Nana Jane?
I'm coming. I'm making that point. I'm saying that. I'm saying that, Lantam. This is how low our senior brother, unfortunately, has brought the integrity, the dignity of the vice president's office to. I mean, I have said it on other platforms. Some people claim that it's a strategy. Assuming it's a strategy, I don't know, for him to act like he's disowning Nanado, he's dissing him so that he will look good and fool people. Some people say it's a strategy. But for me, even if it is a strategy, it's a terrible strategy. Because it speaks of a man who is self-serving. And that's why Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman said that in times of reckoning, he will not suggest that he was only a driver's mate. That's a responsible person. You don't take the glory with your boss. And in time of reckoning, you abandon him and say you were only a driver's mate. That speaks of a man that can be trusted. And I've said it on other platforms. That's the point I was going to make. That look, I don't have sympathies for Nana Akufo-Addo, and everybody knows that. It's not a secret. But one thing that is making me begin to have sympathies for him is the behavior of our senior brother. And it reflects on some of us because we are his junior brothers. And people may be forgiven to think that we all have that same character. Nana Akufo-Addo, we all know, didn't have a beautiful relationship with John Agyekum Kufuor. It's not a secret. Everybody knows that they were not the best of pals and they didn't agree on many issues of governance. But not once, Lantam, not once did Nana Akufo-Addo publicly chastise or disagree with the policy position of President Kufuor. Not once.
Well, he was just a minister.
I am saying
appointed
so.
by the
So he
president.
was. So I'm coming.
It was
So
just a minister appointed by the president.
So he but he became a flag bearer of the party that Kufuor had used to win power. So he could have said that I was only a minister, and that President Kufuor got ABC wrong, and I will correct it. He was a minister. He could have gotten away with it. And again, President Kufuor didn't make Nana Akufo-Addo, so he didn't owe him that. So he could have done it. But you see, he respected party and respected comradeship. And so he took the good with the bad. And that's why I'm saying I don't have sympathies for Nana Akufo-Addo. But on this, even if it's a strategy, I'm saying that I'm beginning to have sympathies for Nana Akufo-Addo. Because it's a terrible strategy that speaks about the self-serving nature of Dr. Mahamudu Bawumia. Why? Nana Akufo-Addo picked him from nothingness. I'll say in our politics, from nothingness. If you speak of our politics, nothingness, against his own party's, wishes. He picked him from nowhere, got him a party card, made him a running mate 2 times when the party didn't want it, made him vice president for 7 years. But you just reminded me, Nana Akufo-Addo was just a minister. And he had every opportunity to diss President Kufuor so that he could serve himself to become president. But not once did he ever do that. And that is why, for me, one of the things that already Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is showing by his example and his speech is that, look, I am here to serve the people of Ghana with Excellency John Dramani Mahama. And all those who looted or have taken part in the plunder of state resources, we have decided that they will be held accountable. And I like it when he capped it with the point that it wasn't a threat, but a promise.
Right.
And said that in the good times, in the good times, he will share in the glory. And in times of reckoning, if there are ever any, the tree, or I can't say, on yinama. Is that how they say?
Oh, yinama.
On yinama. They will be together.
Okay.
They will succeed together.
Let me.
And if there are any failures, they will embrace them together. That, for me, speaks of the integrity that she's coming with to occupy the office of vice president that has been so muddied, so soiled,
all right,
so
bring in Bernard Mona,
quoting my big brother,
conversation.
Dr. Mustafa Hamid.
At this time, Bernard Mona.
Greetings to my 2 kid brothers. In fact, 3, including you, the bachelor. Yesterday was Jane Nana Opoku-Agyeman's day of unveiling.
Official unveiling.
It's unveiling. The NDC chose that, having announced after their NEC meeting who the presidential candidate had wished to be his running mate, they then at NEC affirmed the choice of the flag bearer of the NDC. And they planned that the flag bearer must be outdoored, the running mate must be outdoored, whatever that means. And so yesterday was the day for her. Coincidentally, yesterday was the birthday of Julius Debra, who has been chief of staff to President Mahama. I don't know whether there were some machinations to make the day a double do for them. And so Nana, in accepting the renomination as vice presidential candidate of the NDC, had some truths and some punches to throw. And she did that. The Nana that we saw in 2020, who came sober, who came not political, who came very amiable. It's not the Nana we saw yesterday, who came very courageous, understood her subject, threw punches the way she had to, and of course avoided some in the course of the presentation. She spoke about the deterioration of our nation. There's no doubt. In our social settings, she spoke about the deterioration. She spoke about deterioration in our economic circumstances, the deterioration in our justice system, the deterioration in our security. And she also spoke about the deterioration even in our health sector. So virtually she touched on almost every aspect of our nation. What is amazing to me is that Jane Nana indicated that they will create a women's development bank. And I'm sure you picked that. That is a good sound bite. But she is speaking to develop another bank at a time when banks have been collapsed or are being collapsed. She did not speak of how those collapsed banks or collapsing banks could be resuscitated, could be revived, could be made to function in the capacity that they ought to function. And she's behaving like the MPP, who in collapsing banks will go and bring a development bank. You know, the MPP has brought a National Development Bank. I don't know to what extent it's functioning. It is that bank that they had to use part of COVID money to go and support. In fact, they took COVID money. COVID money was supposed to take care of our health. Now they used it to go and create a financial institution. At the time they were creating the National Development Bank, the NPP were collapsing banks in this country. Some of them unjustly collapsed. You remember Heritage Bank? Why did they collapse Heritage Bank? Because Heritage Bank had met all the obligations that the Bank of Ghana wanted and had asked for.
Well, they said Seidu Agongo is in court. So
Seidu Agongo is in court. The court has not made a determination. And you can then decide that you should revoke their license. In fact, the court should have imprisoned the governor of the Bank of Ghana for going ahead to preempt the outcome of a court decision. They collapsed the bank about 3 or 4 years ago. The case is still in court. The things that the bank could have done, the support it was given to businesses. Even the bank was in a position of supporting UT Bank. Remember Kofi Amabe, Prince Kofi Amabe? He said that he was already in talks with Heritage Bank so that they could support his bank to be able to meet the part of their obligations. So UT Bank would not have collapsed. Then when he was just about clinching a deal, boom. You pompously close down.
So you don't agree with her assertion of creating another bank?
No, so I'm saying that if these banks have been closed down, first and foremost, we will want to see what is it that you are going to do to ensure that those that probably are unjustly closed at least are given their licenses back.
But she was talking about it in the sense of highlighting
let me tell you this.
Women.
When I was youth organizer,
women's issues.
When I was youth organizer with Otin Anane, Kofi Adam was acting for Haruna Idrisu most of the time. John Boydu was there. We were asked to come to Marina Hotel in Dodowa to do National Youth Development Policy, the framework, when Nana Akomia was the minister responsible for youth and labor relations. And I was posted. I said, why are you talking about youth? And I was youth. Why don't we develop a comprehensive national plan that will capture the youth, capture our women, capture persons with disability, and capture the aged, so that all of us will be found in that document and will work towards it? Why are we trying to segregate? So if you come and say you are creating a bank exclusively for women, to be manned by women, or to be womaned by women. So it means that when I become president, I should create a bank exclusively for the youth, to be run by the youth, and to be enjoyed by the youth.
You don't think it's a good policy?
I am saying that why
that
we
she put out.
Look,
that
our banks.
about yesterday.
No, I'm saying that our banks can be given authority and functions. Why we have state banks to have a gender-sensitive aspect of their policies. To have a youth, when young people are coming, you don't take them through some of the rigidities that established businesses are going through. When women are coming and they are able to put up proposals, hey, give them a better chance than you give to established businesses. We can inspire our banks to do so.
Was that a highlight for you?
For me, I thought that, look, it was to play to the women constituency and to say that, hey, we are coming to create a women's bank. And I think that, look, we should do a nationalistic thing. The aspect of talking about combating corruption was exciting, except that I did not get the detail. Maybe the detail will come. We have said, and very soon when we start hearing our policy pronouncement, that any one of us, when the Honorable Chinia is going to buy a house, the seller tells you how much he wants the house for, not so? Or, Sweeney, when you are going to buy a car, the seller tells you how much they want to sell the car. When we are coming to do government procurement, we conceal the figures. Do you know that? So government wants to build a house. The government has done its estimate. They know how much it will cost. We want somebody to come, and then you conceal the figures. You put it here and say that you are coming, we want you to come and bid. So put any figures you think can do this building and these specifications. It is the beginning of corruption. So we say that when government wants to construct a road, you know that 1 kilometer of road, of bitumen or of asphalt or of concrete, this is how much you government have as a budget. Open it. Let contractors come and tell us that with this budget, they'll be able to do A, B, C, D. You evaluate their documentations. You don't hide figures. But in this instance, you are going to combat corruption. How? The second one is that, look, this thing that you lawyers, and then the law says that companies, you cannot unveil, you cannot take their veil. It is part of the corruption. Because you have functionaries of government who by law are not supposed to do business. They are running companies. They own companies. And because you say that the veil of the company, or they must be sealed, these people are running the companies and nobody knows that they are the same people awarding contracts to themselves. And so when you unveil, and then we get to know that this company is doing this job, and we know who is behind that company, then nobody will come and use public office. I know that most engineers are also contractors. Those who keep the quantities are also contractors. So when they have the quantities, the figures, and their companies tend to come and file because and apply for the tender. You think that you can win beyond them. And so it is part of the ways to do corruption, to fight. Unfortunately, yes, she wants to come and fight corruption. And importantly, that she said that those who have been corrupt and those who aided the corruption in this current administration will not be spared.
Yes.
I am gratified.
It's a promise.
Yeah.
That's what she said.
I am gratified by that. But again, she is vice president. If the president doesn't want it to be done,
she's aspiring vice president.
Well, I'm saying that she's going to be vice president. That's the position she wants.
We don't know if she's going to be.
I'm saying that's the position she wants. I keep referring to myself as when I become president. And also, so when I become. So when she becomes vice president, I cannot take that. Once she is a running mate.
If she becomes.
Well, you choose your words. Now, when you become and your boss doesn't want it the way you want it. Because I remember Atta Mills. You remember Atta Mills? The NDC leadership, and probably including your mama, would not have loved the idea that 7 DCEs, CEOs, should continue to hold office But Atamil said that no, let them stay. That me as president, let them stay so that I can take my time to get qualified people to come and succeed them. And in some instances, he said, why? The person's appointment letter was on this day. And they are supposed to serve as 4 years at DCE. Until they serve that, we will not suspend them. It's not the same thing that Akufo-Addo has done. If they appointed you today and then there's a change of government, Akufo-Addo will sack you. But that was not Atamil's understanding of the law. He said that the DC is appointed for 4 years. The CEO is appointed for 4 years. And therefore, once the person is appointed for 4 years, the person must serve the 4 years. On the last day of your appointment, then he got a replacement for you. You didn't see that across the country. Is that the same thing Akufo-Addo has done? So I'm saying that it must take the president to be able to support it. Beyond that, I think that yesterday she came out as the courageous woman. She spoke on every subject. And what a Jane Mensah, Nana Opoku that we saw. It was significantly different from the woman that we saw in 2020.
In 2020. Honorable Chinia,
and finally,
let me bring Honorable Chinia
the people of
at this
Bolu
point.
and the people of Sankana. We contributed in making her what she has. Because she had to come there to come and learn about the triumphs of slavery. And so she did her slave research, PhD thesis, using Sankana and Golu as reference points, where she stayed for a yeah. So I just want to.
You want to read?
Oh no, so in Sankana, for instance, when she is coming to Sankana, the Sankana now welcomes her as my daughter. You have come home. And so, if or when I don't become president and she becomes vice president, she should remember that she's a daughter of Sankana.
Okay, Honorable Chinia, let me now bring you into.
I think
into the
you don't take my senior brother Bernard as a serious aspirant, because already he's advocating for some other party other than himself and his party.
What did I say?
Good morning to the people of Sisalais and
is it
and
that the
Borderlands
Sankana
and Press
English
this
is
morning.
different from the?
I am saying that you are doing
when I don't
advocacy.
become.
You are doing advocacy for a party
No,
other than your own party. So you don't even have confidence in yourself and your party. That is what I have seen.
Oh.
And so the PNC people should watch him.
Okay, I will make you the candidate.
He will be a traitor.
I will make you a candidate.
From the way he has started, he is going to be a traitor.
I will
He's
make you a
going to
candidate.
use PNC platform to push some agenda other than PNC's agenda.
That's why you
It's
went.
very clear.
That's why you traveled.
Anyway, Lantam, first of all, let me congratulate the professor for her renomination and outdooring as the running mate to the former President John Dramani Mahama. I mean, it is a requirement of their party's constitution emanating from Ghana's constitution. I mean, Ghana's constitution requires that every flag bearer of a political party or a presidential candidate should nominate and present a running mate to form a complete ticket. And so yesterday's exercise was in fulfillment of that requirement by Ghana's constitution and, of course, the constitution of the NDC. And let me thank the flag bearer of the NDC and the entire NDC for having a very successful program. I mean, I followed the program somehow, and I feel that it ended successfully because there was no disagreement. There was no, I mean, nothing untoward happened. And so let me congratulate them for a successful program. The professor spoke at length, of course, to defend her party's position and the flag bearer's position and all that, and to tell us what they will be doing given the opportunity. And that is expected. I mean, anybody who aspires to public office must indicate your intentions, your vision, and what you do for the people if you have the opportunity. And so it is for Ghanaians to interrogate her track record and what she said and make a decision. It is for Ghanaians to interrogate the NDC, their track record and what they are saying today, and make a decision. Valentine, what actually interests me this morning is the statements made by my very good friend, Honorable Suhini. I'm quite disappointed in his submission. It looks like a double-edged kind of submission. In one breath, he has tried to analyze the former vice president and the roles they played. And he started with former vice president Akka. And he indicated on this platform that former vice president Akka disagreed with the president at the time, and he praised him for that. That made him a worthy vice president. Is that not what he said? Then he, the same person on the same platform, is telling us that Dr. Bawumia disagreeing with some policies of President Akufo-Addo amounts to hypocrisy and undermining. How do you reconcile these two? You said Akka.
Did he use the words hypocrisy and undermining, or he?
Well, whatever you can put the.
He said where the credits is good, he takes it, and when it's when it's bad, he seems to want to run away from it.
That cannot be true. But the point I am making is that if he's praising Akka for disagreeing with the president
And abandoning the president. You didn't
disagreeing with the president, and that made him a worthy vice president, because that is what he said. Made him a worthy vice president. And then Bawumia disagreeing with some policies of President Akufo-Addo and stating the fact that as you see, he has repeated the word.
I mean, staying on to take the good.
Allow Honorable Chinia to make his point.
Quiet. I don't know you for this, so behave. Don't be desperate.
It's all right.
I am saying that
It's fine.
the guy is having double standard. And that clearly tells me that he is demonstrating political bias against Dr. Bawumia. Otherwise, in one breath, you cannot be praising a former vice president who disagree with his president, and now lambasting Dr. Bawumia for disagreeing with some policy principles of his boss. What is wrong with that? In any case, it is rather hypocritical on Suhini's part to suggest that two different people can be the same. Even he, as a member of parliament, a supporter of President Mahama, former, is he telling me that the things former President Mahama does as president, when he was president, or what he would do when he became president, if he, Suhini, is given the opportunity, he will do exactly the same things? Is that what he's saying? I mean, let's stop this hypocrisy. President Akufo-Addo can never be President Dr. Bawumia if Bawumia becomes president. It can never be the same. It can never be the same. So there's nothing wrong if Dr. Bawumia disagree with certain policy or certain programs that are being undertaken by this government.
But shouldn't he?
And this is why I brought this constitution.
Shouldn't he be in the boat fully with?
Allow me to talk. Bawumia has on many occasions,
in the good and the bad.
Bawumia has on many occasions praised President Akufo-Addo, defended the policies of President Akufo-Addo. There is nobody in this government who has defended the policies of President Akufo-Addo more than Dr. Bawumia. There is nobody who has taken more bullets for defending Akufo-Addo's government than Dr. Bawumia. And he has defended more than he has disagreed. And it is normal. You cannot say that he must accept everything 100% of Akufo-Addo. No. But Bawumia has defended more than 90% of all policies and programs of President Akufo-Addo. So on the few occasions of e-levy and some other few things that he has his disagreement, what is wrong with that? And I'm tying this to what the professor said yesterday, that he will not say he's
should not say she's a driver's mate.
Driver's mate.
Like Vice President.
People should stop pretending. I have brought here the Constitution of Ghana. And go and read Article 57(1). There shall be a president of the Republic of Ghana who shall be the head of state and head of government and commander-in-chief of the Ghana Armed Forces of Ghana. So the president is in charge of everything. Then go and read Article 58. 58(1). The executive authority of Ghana shall vest in the president and shall be exercised in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. So the only thing that limits the president is the constitution and nothing else. All the powers of the state are vested in the president. Go and read Article 60. There shall be a vice president of Ghana who shall perform such functions as may be assigned to him by this constitution or by the president. Now, when you look at the constitution, what provisions are assigned to the vice president by the constitution? Virtually nothing. Virtually nothing. So the functions of the president are determined by the vice president.
Well, there are other functions. There are other functions of the vice president.
Which significant functions?
I mean, for example, apart from the president is absent, he has to act in the president's stead. You know, I mean, that's one which is provided for in the Constitution, among a few other things.
What are you talking about? Let me tell you, Lamtan. So it is a fact that the executive authority of the state is vested in the president. And I am even disappointed in Suhini's assertion of the former vice president. If you look at the historical antecedent of the functions of the vice president office, since the Fourth Republic, Aka couldn't function as a vice president. He couldn't function because the president has all the executive authority in his hands, to the extent that the first lady at the time was more powerful than the vice president. Is that not the case? This is a known fact. After Aka came Professor Mills, or who? Professor Mills. Tell me exactly what Professor Mills did as vice president. Tell me. State authority was vested in President Rawlings. Apart from the vice president attending functions and reading speeches on behalf of the president, what exactly did Vice President Atames do as vice president? Can anybody tell me? There is nothing that the vice president engineered and on his own as vice president. Nothing. The authority of the state is vested in the president.
I'm sure there are people who disagree, but I'm sure once you
he mentioned he used those offices to demonstrate his point, and I'm also letting the listeners see the other side of the equation. We are all explaining. People, those listening to us have can take whichever they want, or they can make their own deduction.
Yeah, sure.
But the point I am making is that all the vice president in this Fourth Republic has not been functional as they should be, because they are constrained by the Constitution of Ghana. Because the real power of running the state is vested in the president. And the vice president is at the whims and caprices of the president. And we saw it when Aka was vice president. We saw it when Mills was vice president. We saw it when Ali was vice president. Apart from Aliu running, greater discipline for,
war against indiscipline.
War against indiscipline. What exactly was he allowed to do as vice president? What? We saw John Mahama. When John Mahama was vice president, what exactly did he do? Tell us, what did he do as vice president?
Well, but vice presidents, since Prof. Mills have been head of the economic management team. So they have had some, function.
And that is another area Suhini got wrong. When it came to John Mahama, they didn't even allow him to head the economic management team.
He was head of the economic management team.
He was not. He was not.
He was.
He was not.
I think it's public knowledge, Honorable, that
the letter constituting the team of the Mills economic management team, John Mahama was not part, and therefore the owner of this place has stated it. It's public knowledge. Dufo has insisted that Mahama under President Mills was not part of the economic management team.
He was head of the economic management team.
He wasn't.
He was.
He was not.
That's public knowledge, Honorable.
What public knowledge? The document is available. Get it. The letter the president wrote. John Mahama was not part of it. And Dufo, as the finance minister, has stated this time and again. Are you not in Ghana? Dufo has stated this. That John Mahama was not part of the economic management team.
I wish
but the point I am making, let me flow. But the point I am making is that John Mahama as vice president, there was no show, nothing. He had no influence. In fact, Kokula Ido as director of communication or whatever, would those who and go their camp when they are outside, they themselves they are admitted, but when they sit here, they will disagree. Koko Ayido was more powerful than John Mahama, and he contemplated resigning as vice president. So I can tell you that the office of vice president, as far as I am concerned, is constrained by our own constitution. In fact, we need to amend the constitution. For me, we need to do significant amendments to the constitution if you want to make a vice president relevant. But as it stands now, the vice president is at the whims and caprices of the president, and there are individuals in government at every point in time that has been more powerful than our vice president. Now to Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman, he spoke so much, but you see, he has served in government before. He has been Minister for Education. But now, why you? I mean, the two of you. Why? You have to give me time.
Flow.
I don't like the way you are behaving.
Honorable flow.
You already betrayed PhD. I'm going to do serious advocacy that PhD today elect you as a flag bearer. I used to support you, but now
please,
you are only looking for the PhD to go
your time is running. I'm looking at the time. I'm always looking at the time. So I'll just say that you have 2 minutes to make your submission.
I will not sit here in terms of to undermine my campaign and my
don't interrupt and disrupt my statement.
Don't go to that tangent before I explode.
Yes, Lord.
Honorable Tonya, please stick to your submission. Because you have 2 minutes more to finish your submission.
Keep quiet.
Respectfully, please make your submission.
I am saying that politically, Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman is a known quantity because he has served as education minister before. And Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman as education minister is the worst minister Ghana's Minister of Education has had in this republic.
Really?
Under her, teachers' training allowance was cancelled. Under her, tertiary students were made to pay electricity bills, which has now been cancelled. Under her, for 2 academic years, capitation grant, which could introduced at 3 cedis. After 8 years of NDC, they increased it to 4.5 Ghana cedis. Under her, they had 2 years of arrears that they could not pay. When MPP came in 2017, the figure was increased from 4.5 to 10 Ghana cedis, and all the arrears we inherited from her were cleared. Under her, secondary school feeding grants were not paid for 2 years. Under her, when teachers were employed and they worked for 1 year, 2 years, they were paid only 3 months of arrears and they were denied the rest of the arrears. Ghana education went too low. Our basic certificate examination and secondary school certificate examination became worse under Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
Right, honorable.
She had the worst of records in managing education in Ghana.
So you don't believe she's the right person for the job?
Well, I cannot determine who is the right person, but I'm just telling you that her political record as a minister of state shows that she's so incompetent. And Ghana education became worse under her to the extent that I have not finished and you are
please land for me because the time is about to share the time equally.
What is teachers association actually asked for the resignation of the minister because teachers suffered under Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman.
Very well.
Because he could not pay their salaries, arrears, they employ teachers, they work for 1 year, 2 years. And they couldn't.
Thank you, Honorable. Honorable Suini, let me bring you back into the conversation.
You can't even seem to stop
because he's on propaganda overdrive, and just like their flag bearer, he's sweating profusely. You saw the tact with which Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman delivered her speech yesterday, without any drama.
She's an English teacher.
Without any drama.
She was speaking English, and that is normal.
That's
as an English teacher.
That's part of the. Can you just?
Honorable Suini, please allow.
I'm just reminding you. Allow him to make English teacher.
I thought
she was speaking English.
I thought you didn't want anyone to interject. So please allow Honorable Suini to make his point because it prolongs the time. It prolongs the time.
It's a good man. I'm allowing him.
Yeah, so allow him.
The tact with which she delivered it is one of the reasons why I'm saying that. This indeed is the woman who will bring back dignity and respect to that office of the president, the vice president. compared to our senior brother, Dr. Mahmudu, when he did his delivery recently. In fact, if you want, you can mute both of them, their videos, and watch them. And you see one with pose, one with tact, one organized against one who is simply a flip-flop. But I just want us to look at some of the issues that have been raised. My brother Chinia says that I was picking and choosing and flip-flopping, not using the exact words, when I compared and took positions with Vice President Akka and Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. I think that he misses the point, and I'll forgive him, that I sought to make with the comparison of the two. When Vice President Akka disagreed with President Rawlings, he did so openly and publicly and walked out. He did so openly and publicly and walked out to even join the opposition party as sitting vice president. And I'm saying, you can disagree with him all you want, but at least you can respect the fact that he was a man with his own convictions and was willing to sacrifice anything to push his convictions. Compared to the one who ungratefully is disowning the one who has made him because he wants to serve himself, and so he stays in to still use the largesse of the office and the blessing of the same man he is betraying. And I'm saying that indeed is a man that one cannot trust. If he can do this to his benefactor, if he can do that to his benefactor, then your vote means nothing to him. I am saying that you should remember what Nana Akufo-Addo has done for him. He picked him from nothingness in our politics. I'm not saying in life, in our politics, and made him who he is against opposition. And he can do that to him. And you think that when you queue and vote for him, when you queue and vote for him, he will owe you anything. And I'm saying that compared to Nana Akufo-Addo, who was just a minister under President Kufuor, he still carried himself with the, and he says it himself. Nana Akufo-Addo says it himself. I'll just share a few quotes that he has said about this topic. Nana Akufo-Addo. A few thoughts that he has shared about this topic. Some people have said that it is an act and that they are acting and that it is a plan to make, but I'm saying that even if that is the case, it is a bad plan because it shows that you cannot trust Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia. And listen to what Nana Akufo-Addo said recently about this same topic. He said, I don't see what we gain by attacking the record of our own government. When you do that, then you become the party candidate. What are you going to tell the people? That, it was Akufo-Addo who misled and mismanaged affairs. I'll be different. Even though I'm NPP, I'll under the elephant sign, but I'm different. I'm under the elephant sign, but I'm different. Quote and unquote. That was not Akufo-Addo. On the same topic. Asking Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in this context.
But this was not directly.
I'm saying that this is the topic he was addressing. This is not the topic he was addressing.
But he was speaking in the general context.
And I'm saying asking Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia in this context. I brought that question he was asking into this context. That what do you stand to gain? When you do that, And then you still claim, and that's why I say related to Vice President Aka. When he criticized Rawlings, he was not under the Rawlings umbrella again. He walked out. That's principle. That's conviction. You can disagree with him. You can criticize him, but that's conviction. You respect that. You respect a man like that. Then he talks about the office of the vice president and the impact that it has made in our politics. If he doesn't know, he doesn't know, and maybe he should seek knowledge. Speak to anybody who operates in our tax sector in Ghana and has done so over the years. You say Vice President Mills did nothing? If you don't know, you don't know. Talk to people, even in your party. Speak to Osafo Maafo.
Those things were done before he became vice president. He was head of VAT, and I know of his contribution to that.
It's not just. It's
but
not
he did more.
We're talking about him as vice president. So I'll allow Honorable to try.
He's talking about when the man was
he hasn't finished making the point. Honorable, he hasn't finished making the point. He hasn't even mentioned. Honorable, when he was speaking, he didn't even get to the point to mention head of VAT. He's not said anything. He was not about to make the point.
What he's saying now,
what he's coming to say
as vice president.
He don't know what he's coming
as head of. You can check.
Honorable Suni, please.
You cannot sit here and
now let him finish, and then you can come in.
You should checkmate him, but you are not doing it.
No,
but when it is me,
he has not finished making the point. He said ask people. He didn't talk about when he was.
When the claim he's making is a claim the man did. He was head of VAT.
He hasn't said it. He just said listen to his contributions. He didn't mention one single contribution, and you're already jumping, preempting what he's about to say. And he hasn't said anything, Honorable. Let him say it. When he says it, then you come in. You are not the Honorable. Let him say. When he says it, then you can come in.
If it was me, you would have.
Honorable, no, please. So you Honorable, let him say that when he says it, then when I get you, then you can come in.
So vice presidents have made significant contributions in this country, and have actually through their efforts and their conduct and their way of life brought dignity and respect to the office of vice president. Unlike what we are seeing today. And that's the point I'm seeking to make. Vice President Mills started the reforms at the GRA. And I am very convinced.
As vice president.
As vice president. I'm very convinced. No, as he started the reforms at GRA when he was in charge of revenue tax.
Yeah, but we're talking about as vice president.
I'm making the
because that is where the argument really is.
I use the word started, and the sentence hasn't ended. So can you let me finish that sentence? I said he started the reforms as head of that when he was the commissioner.
Commissioner, yes.
Internal Revenue Service. Mm-hmm. And I'm saying that I am quite sure that when he became vice president, mm-hmm. it was because of his experience as commissioner that for the first time, the vice president under Rawlings was made to chair the economic management team. I am sure. Because those reforms he had started needed to be entrenched and broadened.
Okay.
So that we could increase our revenue sources and application of same and budget properly. Okay. I'm sure it was that thinking that even made the Rawlings. Because this whole vice president chairing economic management started with Mills. And I'm saying that if you have foresight, you will understand.
Right.
That people are broad dignity. So I'm wrapping up.
Yes.
Now on the economic management team claim that he made that John Mahama never served as economic management. I mean, chaired the.
He wasn't a member of.
That is a ridiculous lie that Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia told, and was as one of his many lies he has been telling, and was embarrassed. So I'm shocked that my brother is not up to date, because even his flag bearer, who is noted for such untruths, have since abandoned that lie. In fact, the spokesperson for President Mahama at the time, Felix Kwatio-Fosu, you can check his Facebook wall, published President Mahama's appointment letter as chairman of the economic management team in 2010 when he was given that appointment. What they made reference to as economic management team, they form committees. So at one point, the economic management team formed an economic committee of a sort that was chaired by somebody. And then they claim that that chair of that committee under the economic management team was rather the chair of the economic management team. How ignorant. And that ignorance has been pointed out repeatedly to them. As for my brother Bernard's, suggestion that the vice president may want some people.
You didn't refer to me as your brother. Bernard, yes, your brother.
He did.
No, he didn't. You see, there's some.
He's intoxicated.
There's some collaboration. You see them.
He's intoxicated.
They are talking me out.
I'll give you time to talk. I'll come back to you.
No, I want him to refer to me as his brother. You see, they're taking me out. I'm not part of you.
He did.
Okay.
He did.
Discrimination.
In fairness, he did. He did. He referred to you as his brother.
Look at the tone. When it came to Bernard, look at the tone. As for my brother Bernard, so calm. But me there he'll be aggressive.
Relax.
So to be fair.
Relax.
The state of affairs in this country, and especially what one is going through this morning, is not.
I need to, because of time. I need to come to Bernard. I need to come to Bernard now because of time.
John, if you listen to Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyeman yesterday, when she gave the assurance that people who have mishandled and engage in any sort of malfeasance
there's no problem.
will be prosecuted.
Yes.
Including your boss.
She said it.
Yes, we are ready for it.
She said it. Read it well.
Yeah.
I mean, Bernard was suggesting that
She said it's not
that you can be vice president, and then the president will not want that prosecution, and gave Professor Mills thing. She said in that context that GHOne and I have agreed.
Okay, very well.
So that is already a woman who is going to that office prepared, knowing the weaknesses of the office and knowing how to overcome those weaknesses.
All right, very well. Thank you very much, Honorable
the good people of Ghana.
Bernard Monap, let me bring you in now for your second take on this matter.
Just to respond to my kid brother, that even in my opening submissions, I greeted both of them. In fact, I said my two kid brothers, and I remembered that you are also my kid brother. So I have not discriminated when I come to talk about what. It is just his recalcitrancy that put him in the manner that he thinks. He sat here and congratulated Jean Nana for her renomination, and went further to even salute the NDC in its totality for organizing an incident-free thing. You see, by that statement suggesting that the MPP is incapable of organizing incident-free events, will that merit that I should say that by that pronouncement, your people should reject you because you are endorsing NDC position? And so when I conclude that when I don't become president, and Jane Mensa and Nana Opoku become...
Jane Mensa name like that?
In fact, the one I said Jane is not called Jane, she's Jean. So if I say Jane, it means there's an oversight. Yeah, that one is the one you introduced to me. These boys can be scandalous. When I say that, then you sit here and posit that because I have said a positive about her, it means that being a flag bearer, I'm going to support her. So I also say to you that your endorsement that they had an incident-free thing, you're congratulating them, means that you cannot be trusted as a loyal member of your political party. We cannot be communicating in that direction. That aside, I think that, look, Jane Opoku has put up her blueprint. Her outdooring was magnificent. I don't know how she got it right yesterday. You cannot take it away from her. And like I said yesterday in the morning on another TV station, that what she is going to say would become either a template or become the standard upon which other vice presidential nominees will speak, because you cannot do less. And yesterday she did not disappoint. You may only disagree. Chinia disagree with her. Why not? She said, your record at education. Unfortunately, I am not able to talk about the record of our vice president because he is now moving into another office. But if we were to talk about the record of our vice president, he came on the back of managing the economy, stabilizing the city, ensuring that there's exchange rate stability, ensuring that inflation does not go beyond single digit, bringing about one constituency $1 million, and what have you. The record today cannot reflect what the vice president said. The record of our vice president cannot reflect. But hey, it is not he who is going to become the next vice president should the MPP win. It is somebody else. So we'll be waiting to find out what that next vice president or potential vice president will be saying. And so for me, I just commend Nana for her spirited speech. She did a good job, no doubt. There are minuses. I have spoken about my disagreement with the issue of dedicating a bank for women.
For women, yeah.
Yeah, I think that I've also spoken about the issue of how they are going to tackle corruption. And I've given instances of when I become president, what I would do for you to see openly that this is the angle from which we are going to tackle the matter. And so you get to know that, look, you cannot come and hide and be a minister and have a company. You cannot be a chief director and have a company and turn around to let your company go and win and say that we cannot unveil the veil so that we get to know who are behind this particular company. We'll do all those things so as to ensure that persons in public space work for the interest of the public and not siphon from the public. This is what I said.
Right. Honorable Chinia, let me come back to you for your final submission on this.
Well, Suhili has been speaking about the dignity of the office of the vice president and sought to make a claim as though that office dignity has been reduced under the current vice president. That is quite unfortunate. I mean,
You didn't call me your brother.
Dr. Mahmoud Bamia,
Chinia,
everybody who knows him knows that
Chinia,
he's a very humble servant.
Chinia, you didn't call me your brother.
He's a very
I'm also
diligent personality.
Oh,
He has
shame on you.
respect.
he didn't even reference you.
He has a lot of knowledge.
Yeah, no, you didn't.
And he has actually brought
Shame
dignity
on
to
you.
the office of the vice president because he has been the most active vice president who has been more influential in governance than any vice president that we have had.
Really?
Yes. Now he talks about dignity. Vice President John Dramani Mahama, under President Mills, according to Martin Amidu, was being investigated for his involvement in the pitches of
So when you are in the investigation,
You
Embraer.
are a criminal. That's their mind.
So,
That's
I
why
mean,
you close
what is more
that's,
disgraceful
Please-
than
please allow him to make
what
his
is more
points.
disgraceful than a president setting up a 3-member committee to investigate his vice president?
under investigation, you are
Oh,
when you are under investigation, assuming it is true, assuming what Martin Amidu
I don't want
is true.
you keep your
that means that you are a
thinking.
criminal.
Keep your.
You
I
are
have
a
not said
student
that.
of
I
law.
have not said that.
You are a student of
You
law.
are talking
Himself has
about-
been under investigation.
So
He has been under you. You have
so-
been under investigation.
so that
it
means
doesn't
you're a
matter. A
criminal.
criminal.
I mean,
you have been under
So
investigation.
what is embarrassing about the vice president?
So you have been under, and
and I'm
we
asking
are
you.
even assuming that you are right. But let's assume you are right that he was under investigation. I'm saying you Chinia, you have been under investigation. You are a criminal. You have been in. It means that you are disgraced.
What do you mean by that?
You have been under investigation.
What investigation?
Oh,
So
you want us to go into the details?
You
of
can
that?
go into
No,
it.
please.
You can go into it.
No, please.
I am telling you that.
I just finished
You are
making your
telling. You
point.
are saying.
Finish making
You are
your
saying.
point.
Sini, you are saying that Dr. Bawumia has brought the vice president office into dignity into disrepute. What is the evidence? How has that happened? And I'm telling you that Vice President John Mahama was investigated by his own president.
and
And
And what the proposition you made, what about it?
I said he said.
What disgrace has?
I said he has turned the office into a comedy place.
What
his videos abound.
Now let me
His
read
videos
this.
abound. Apart from that, look,
Suhini,
you can't be honest. Where is he getting money to do all the big projects that he does in his name and not in the name of the government? Where is he getting the money from? He's built a mosque here. He's renovated the Gonja Palace. What do you call it? The Yegbongura Palace. Where is he getting the money from? How much is a vice president paid? In this country,
but
he has donated a bus to a women group.
So where is
he getting the money from?
What are you talking about?
So if you have a president who doesn't care about where his appointees are getting money to build, giant, things in their name, President Mills cared. And when he investigated, even if he investigated, he found nothing.
Suhini.
But you have a vice president who is spending money left, right, center. Where is he getting the money from?
Perhaps he has campaign financiers.
Campaign financiers. What are they getting from him, or what are they expecting to get from him?
So stop that irresponsibility.
You are talking about irresponsibility.
Stop it.
What
I am
honorable.
If that is the case, even the first lady, John Mohammed's wife, was doing donations of what is it?
Rebecca Akufo-Addo is doing this.
So
she's actually building a hospital. Where is he getting the money from?
You think that the vice president office cannot mobilize resources to undertake projects?
Seriously.
He cannot mobilize.
So don't talk about corruption when the vice president office cannot account for the sources of funding they are using to do all the things they are doing.
But if
I were the president, I would have called for his investigation.
You stop what you are doing. When you were talking,
I would have investigated the sources of his funding.
Stop what you are doing.
All right, gentlemen, please
stop what you are doing.
Calm down. Let's calm down, gentlemen.
What are you talking about?
And please make your point.
What are you talking about?
As you are supposed to make it. And then let's wrap it up. Let's wrap it up.
And that is what I'm pointing out.
Gentlemen, let's not let our tempers fly. Let's not let our tempers fly. Calm down. Be calming down.
I should have stopped nonsense. What nonsense am I engaging? I'm just trying to
do the discussion in a very cool.
I will not allow you. Without any attack. We are not here on family matters.
Let's not let tempers fly. Honorable Chinyere,
my time to speak.
Finish making your point, and then we'll wrap up our discussion. Thank you very much.
The office of the vice president under Bawumia has brought dignity to the office. He's a very hard-working vice president. He has embarked on a lot of projects impacting lives. There has not been any corruption issue against the vice president, and between Mahama as president, former president, and former vice president, the issues of corruption against Mahama relative to Dr. Bawumia, the difference is clear. Now, Manasseh wrote a book, and I'm going to read a part of it to you, where he said, the vice president,
the journalist they chased into exile, by the way,
like he was referring to Mr. Atta as vice president, like his predecessors had instances felt sidelined. There were occasions Mr. Atta heard about ministerial reshuffles in the media. It's a lot. I'm just trying to make the point that the office of the vice president, by our constitution, gives a lot of limitations to the vice president. So anybody who says that the vice president can make the kind of influence people are thinking under the current constitutional arrangement is either pretending or doesn't understand the issues. And I'm saying that among all these vice presidents, if you are to take one that has, in spite of the limitations of the constitution, demonstrated competence and impacted in terms of contribution to national development, Bawumia stands out.
Right.
Bawumia stands out.
Well.
Now, when Suhini was trying to, he said that either I need some education on the contribution of former Vice President Atamis when he was Vice President, and started talking about reforms and tax. Those reforms were the former Vice President and former President made those reforms or those contributions when he was head of internal revenue, not when he was Vice President. So he's rather misleading the public. Professor Mills, we all know, was head of IRS. Is that not the case? He was the Commissioner General. And in those days and times, he made significant improvement in tax collection and tax generation in Ghana.
Right.
No doubt about that.
Right.
In terms of reforming the laws, in terms of raising revenue and all that, he did that. But not as vice president. It is a complete lie. It's complete misleading that he made those contributions when he was vice president. He's rather trying to play a fast one
Very well,
on
thank you very much.
not